This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Drive out with a car!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
And the English Professor.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And welcome back to another week of Can Crushers. Oh, the host, Mark Martin. Now, apparently I'm the host now. I'm the only thing here, John. I'm the only one. It doesn't matter. You look a little disgusted. I don't know what's going on. Chad is MIA, but hell, as Vince would say, the show's got to go on. Yeah, you are here.
The show must go on. I am here. Yeah, come on.
I don't know.
I'm not there, but I'm here.
You are there. You're somewhere.
Yep. I'm somewhere.
Chad may pop in. We really don't know. This isn't a storyline. We really have no freaking clue where he's at. This might be one of the trips that he's told me about that he's in Maine or something, though, too. That's how much I remember. Not sure.
I bet he's just sleeping.
He's sleeping most of the time when he's on the show, so why the hell not?
Yeah.
So, John...
He could have been there sleeping.
He could have been here sleeping. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, in life, John, what a rough week. We usually don't touch on this a lot, but we have to do our due diligence as a show, as human beings, and as everything. What a crazy world we're living in right now. It is unbelievable what's going on.
It is a pretty tough time. Guys, I think this is maybe where Mark and I differ a little bit. I'll agree that it's a crazy time, but as a people in our existence, we've been here before, right? We got through it. We'll get through all this. I just hope, and not to get political, I just hope we get through this better than before. Because if you have to go through struggle, the nice thing is that maybe there's something better at the end of that struggle. So here's hoping, guys.
I don't differ with you at all. I completely agree. We have been through this before. We just buckle down and, roll up your pants and walk through some shit, and we come out like roses on the other side, hopefully.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a layman's terms of it. It really is. You could put something poetic together, but screw that.
Right. See, Mark is so nice and respectful to my mom that when my mom gets on one of her situations, my mom and I differ in this, where, the world's never been as bad as it is now. And I was just like, no, Ma, perspective. There was a time humans played soccer with the heads of their enemies. We don't do that anymore. Maybe we're a little better in that regard.
Right.
But what I mean by all this is that Mark will hold my mom's hand and nod and agree because he's a good guy. But I don't want my friend Mark believing that it's all doom and gloom. We'll get through this.
It's not all doom and gloom. It really is not. I agree with you with that. Yeah, no. I will hold your mom's hand. I will hug her when I'm allowed and all that. And
Right.
Yeah, we'll get there. The side note is, this is not even planned. Man, I miss hugging people. I really do.
Yeah.
From whatever else, I am in, I woke up this morning, John, and let's just throw shit to the side because now I want to be real for a minute. I was crying this morning. Not because, and this might get me slack, and I don't mean it, not because of the world or anything. For me, I haven't seen you since January. I haven't seen your family since January. I am a very touchy-feely, weirdo type of guy, and we've all come to terms with that. I miss my friends. I see you now. Great. I miss the plumbers. I miss wrestling fans. Ray Lynn. God, Jackson Argos. All those guys. They're all assholes. They're all friendly assholes. I miss them. Now I'm hitting a funk in my life. It really is. You've been locked down. I've been working. I love Paul. I love these guys. I love the people I work with. I see people in Ridgeway, great. They're just not doing it anymore. I woke up that I just needed to, at 6 o'clock this morning, I woke up, I just needed to hold the dog and hold Kelly. That's me. That's where I am right now, so I'm a little bit rough. I'm a little bit rough today.
That's all right. It's real, that's honest, and that's the only way I've ever known you to be.
Right. Which brings me to, not the segue that I really wanted, the most powerful thing in wrestling this week. NBA Girl Talk, or, yeah, NBA?
NWA.
See? NWA Girl Powerrr.
Girl
Jesus, God. The best thing in wrestling I've seen this week. You have Marty Bell, Thunder Rosa, and AK talking about Hana Kumara's suicide and bullying and just social media stuff like that. And they toted the line real well. They opened up. They all had stories about it. But somebody that I want to reach through the computer and give a hug. I met her once, and I want to meet her again. Was Camille. Camille came on as Kaylee, and she said, I didn't know Hannah, and I just want to, and she was crying. She was instantly crying about the whole situation and everything. This is powerful. I've posted it a couple times on Twitter. I posted it on the Facebook and everything. If you don't like wrestling and you just listen to us because you like me and John and Chad, and then you used to like Paul, but you still like Paul, whoever, Swan Dog, the presser of belts when he was on, Colin, Pat, I won't even call him his stupid name today. If you just listen to us because you're our friends, I advise you to search us up on YouTube. If you have children or something, there are some words, but these three women, along with Kaylee and May comes in for a little bit, and the Vox girl as well. This was powerful. It is extremely powerful to watch, and we talked about it last week a little bit, and thank you, NWA, for jumping on the ship this week and talking about it, because it's hitting home. It really does hit home at the right time, and, man, I want to thank all the women for doing this. If they hear that, that's all I really want to say. I want to thank you for doing that, because I cried along with you, and that's me.
On an unimportant but somewhat related note, you kind of see how good Camille and May Valentine are at what they do, because you get a glimpse into reality here, right? That
Right.
you don't see in YouTube land and in TV land with them as wrestling personalities.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good point too, John. I know you didn't watch it. That's fine. You will. I know you will. I'm not saying do the right thing, but I know you'll watch it and you'll get back to me. But make sure you give it a watch. But now we have to talk about wrestling. We have to talk about some wrestling that's been going on. John, let's talk about our Revolutionary Force tournament a little bit. I'm disappointed in the fans. I'm completely disappointed in the fans for this tournament. What the hell's wrong with you? Why aren't you giving the love to the women?
There was one match, Deonna Purrazzo versus Ray Lynn, and it got exactly 4 votes. 4, guys. We've had matches with 40 votes.
Close to 50. Yeah.
4. Close to 50, yeah. The Martinezes voted for, Cheryl and I voted for Deonna Purrazzo. You guys voted for Ray Lynn. And that's it. There was no tiebreaker. Now they're both out. So,
and that's a travesty.
Yeah, because they're both really good. Yeah. If you guys want to reach out to us and tell us what's not cool about this tournament, we'll listen. Is it name recognition? Now, in fairness, women's wrestling in the last 15 years has exploded. Maybe I won't hesitate but I shouldn't hesitate to use that term. It's exploded. There are women's promotions out there. They're given the time more than they have been in the past. But when we have a men's tournament, for crying out loud, we have Frank Gotch, from which we can choose. We have Gorgeous George. We can go back as far as you want, and maybe we can with the women too, but certainly not to that degree. So we want to do something a little different with this one and dig into the current women's scene, which, guys, it's more than Charlotte, and you know how much I love Charlotte, but it's more than Charlotte. It's more than Becky. There are so many talented women. If you tune into AEW, if you tune into NWA, if you get a chance to somehow watch Rise, Mark, you're more familiar certainly with OVW.
OVW, Shimmer.
A women's scene.
Yeah.
There you go.
I am. Of anybody on the show, you know I have the women covered. I really do. Right. I love it, to use Vince's term, and I hate to use it. The women's revolution has really sparked wrestling in me again, because they're doing some of the older storylines, but on a take, and we're probably not politically correct by saying on the women's take of it. Well, it's on a take of wrestling overall, is what I'm trying to say, but it's just, there's different aspects in it, and it just makes it fresh again. And it's fun to watch Raylan and Deanna do something. God, they had matches before, guys. They really did. Right. Or, Melina and Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa didn't win that match, and I'm upset about that. That's unbelievable. You guys are not tapping into women's wrestling as much as you should. Nothing against, God, I don't even remember who she faced, but
she faced somebody I really like.
Oh, Lacey Evans, of course. Yeah, everybody voted for Lacey because she's on the WWE. Nobody's given the time to NWA, maybe like us or whatever. Chad says, fuck, he overslept. So there we have it.
I was right.
You were right. Right.
No, but that's their right. That's their right. If they really know Lacey and they like Lacey, I would just say, if you don't know Thunder Rosa, guys, you're missing out. Holy cow. She's tough. She's lean. She can fight, and just an incredible worker. Great personality and charisma that comes through in her character. Kind of silent and cerebral. Again, I'm not 100% sure of her Mexican heritage specifically, from what part of Mexico or anything like that, but she sort of embodies her heritage in her character. She's fun to watch, man. She's fun to watch. Her matches are never dull.
So, guys, give some love to this. Or we have, 3 more days, today, Monday and Tuesday of round 1. I'm not scrapping this because of you. If me and John and the wives are going to be the only ones to vote, maybe I'll reincarnate my mom to have the tiebreaker one or something, and that's lighthearted. I don't know. Well, we're going to have a Revolutionary Force champion. I don't care. If you guys want to vote.
Yeah, no, this isn't getting scrapped.
No.
What has been said? We're going to shove it down their throat.
We are going to.
This isn't going anywhere, guys. So you might as well enjoy it while it's here.
The next one we have is unbelievable. Don't get us wrong. The next one we have is unbelievable. But we'll hold it back for a while if you guys are not going to vote for this. Come on. We get.
And just go ahead, Mark.
We get thousands of listens a week. Let's not throw that under the table. Get on our freaking Facebook and pick a picture. It's up by 9 o'clock every morning. Pick a picture and then leave Facebook the rest of the day. If that's the only thing you get on to satisfy my needs, do it. That's it. I'm just looking for satisfaction on me.
And if the match doesn't grab you and you need motivation, read the description of the match.
Right.
They're brilliant. They're so well written. They're enticing. Right?
Right.
They make you want to vote if you just read, damn it.
These last couple pictures that I picked, I've made seductive now, which usually, I don't do because our wives vote and we're not that way. I have Velvet Sky on there today with half a crop top on. If she gets the vote, she gets the votes. For God's sakes, come on.
Who's her opponent? It's time to let people know. Velvet Sky. While you're looking that up.
Tessa.
That's a good match, guys. Friggin' vote. To your point earlier, Mark, and to my point too, how the last 12, 15 years, women's wrestling has really come to the forefront in some ways. When you were saying it's fresh again, it's new in that it's kind of old school. The men just simply, they've dominated the wrestling scene for a long time. So this isn't a backhanded compliment. It's kind of the truth. In essence, the women have had some catching up to do. They also, because of that, had the ability to tap into some older ideas, older stories, because they had some catching up to do. So it was sort of a win-win in that regard, in that they were able to do some older stuff maybe that we remember, some different stuff, because they had some catching up to do.
Yeah.
And they've caught up. And women's wrestling is, I don't hesitate to say, every bit as fun to watch as the guys.
Right. All right, Chad's blowing up my phone. Why don't we end this right now, and we'll tell everybody about Collar and Elbow. We'll get Chad in so we can actually talk about this week's wrestling, and then when we come back, though, we'll talk about WrestleRock, the show that we started. That's perfect. All right.
Yep.
So, John, I see that you have your Mean Gene shirt on, your Collar and Elbow shirt on today. You're loving it. Blue World Order, underneath Bailey, of course. It's cold here today. It's freaking
really?
cold, yeah. You got my Blue World Order underneath that I had to show you because everybody's got to, you have to verify that I do.
It is, folks.
It's cold today, so I have a hoodie on in the house. I don't know why. It's probably going to rain again today. Welcome to Seattle of the Northeast in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Hats, hoodies, tees, they're all great. We love the designs. You want to talk about the comfort?
They are very comfortable. The reason I wear it is because it's essentially my jammy shirt now. The Mean Gene one is one I'll wear with, a pair of jeans.
Out and about?
Yes, out and about.
Yeah.
The gray one is a Betty time one.
The gym, when you go to the gym.
And the gym one, when that reopens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how badass do I look showing up, to jiu-jitsu with a collar and elbow t-shirt,
By the way, jiu-jitsu, this has brought up one thing. Jimmy Nutt says, name the time and place. This was from a week ago, by the way.
Are you serious?
Name the time and place, and he's ready to kick your ass.
All right. We are in green. Thinking of something tough to say, which means go. And I'm coming for you. How was that? I learned from Allison Kay what a wrestling promo ought to be.
All right. When you go to collarandelbow.com and you pick all the stuff you want and you're ready to check out, there's a promo code spot there. John, what's our promo code?
Can Crushers, all one word, capital C's. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers, all one word.
All right, when we come back, we're going to throw Chad under the bus, and then we're going to talk about 1986 WrestleRock, AWA style.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hey everybody, this is the Imagine Wrestling champion, Spencer Slade, and you're listening to the Can Crushers podcast, the best professional wrestling podcast out there. And I've got 3 words for ya. Fear the gear.
And welcome back to Can Crushers. We're about time to turn back the page, but guys, I have to tell you everything that happened this week. John, last Sunday, maybe Monday, wanted to do Super Clash 1. He can't fucking find it. He's bitching and moaning. I'm getting these texts. He's giving up. Just pick something. You and Chad do something. How about a WCCW one? I want to watch the Freebirds. Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, I find something quickly. That's not the one I wanted. He's pouty pants, and he's crying to me. I'm like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Again, I go to the network, and I find it. What? By the way, Chad, good morning.
Good morning.
John, what do you have to say?
That's all I got. I got no argument on this. I had too much of the bubbly last night and slept right through the alarm.
The network sucks. It pisses me off. This all started, I remembered how hot Road Warriors Freebirds was in the AWA. My older brother, Tony, was a big Road Warriors fan. Loved them through all their promotions. Clearly his favorite team. I liked the Freebirds. I thought, even though Hayes wasn't a big guy, I thought Gordy was believable in the ring with Hawk and Animal. I so wanted to watch that. I went to YouTube. I watched just that match. It's so badass at Comiskey, right? Yeah, with the White Sox. Yeah. Comiskey Park. You have the Freebirds coming out. People are throwing stuff at them. They've got the Confederate flag painted on their faces. Then you've got Hawk and Animal coming out. And what the hell was it? Was it Lee Martin? No, it wasn't Marshall. I can't remember the guy's name. We'll get to it. It's the guy Stan Hansen beat up on the way to the ring.
Larry Marshall.
Maybe.
Yes,
Maybe it was him.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So they blow right past him. No time for an interview, right? Seemingly the Road Warriors lose the belts. Referee reverses the decision. Michael Hayes used the foreign object. I'm like, okay, I want to watch that. Super Clash 1. Oh, guess what, WWE Network? You guys will show me 2, 3, and 4, but not 1. What's the reasoning behind that? Is there no tape of it? It's on YouTube. Now, anybody could have uploaded that. So, okay, fine. What else do I want to watch? I pop in some DVDs. Let me get some motivation. I watched Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair with Michael Hayes as a special guest referee. This was a catalyst for one of the hottest feuds in any territory that ran 4 years. Christmas 1982. Right? And I'll bitch more about this in a second. Von Erich's got Flair, right? Hayes gets pissed off because they won't listen to him as referee. He leaves. Gordy's like, let's just get out of here, Mike. So they go to leave, and he's like, screw this, and slams the door. Well, what happens? It hits Von Erich in the head. So Flair goes on to win the match for blood stoppage, which is ridiculous. Flair's bleeding buckets, and he's like, oh, wait, you cut your finger? Oh, Kerry can't continue. It's over. Anyway, it was meant to piss people off. It started the whole Freebirds Von Erich, right? That's not on the network. That's not on the network. You want to watch Christmas Star Wars? Maybe there's 81. Maybe there's 83. We're not going to show you 82. Imagine you collect cards or comic books and you're missing the one in the middle, and someone has the ability to sell it to you and they won't. They're just such assholes. So I was pissed off. So this is my third choice.
This was one they actually threw at you then. I'm like, WrestleRock, it's on here. Da-da-da-da-da. It took place April 20th, 1986 in the Humphrey Dome where the Twins used to play. The stadium holds 64,000 people. All right? You go to Wikipedia to look at some stuff because I don't have numbers, so you look at Wikipedia. I know anybody, Sylvan, who's nowhere near being born in 86 or even thought of because we were jackasses. Somebody writes that there was 23,000 people there. Bullshit. There was a corner that they just stayed, the hard camera right there. There was a corner of it filled. Not happening. Not happening that 23,000 people were there. So that's my bitch there.
What about the funny thing you said you suggested WrestleRock 86? I sent you a text at one point. I'm like, I don't even care. How about WrestleRock 86? And you're like, that's what I suggested, but you seemed mad. And I scroll through, I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, he did suggest that.
Right. I did.
And it was on YouTube. That's the only reason I suggested it was because I came up on the network. And I'm like, I'm finding something on YouTube. I'm like, the whole thing's on YouTube. You guys watch whatever the hell you want. And you were like, I suggested it. And it's actually on the network. I'm like, oh. Yeah, I guess you did. Oops.
This show, to watch it, took 3 hours and 56 minutes. So 4 hours. Being there, it had to have been a 7 to 8 hour show with everything going on, the pomp and circumstance, because they cut a lot out. They really did cut a lot out of what was on the network. I couldn't imagine sitting in stadium seating for 7 to 8 hours, just where they were. But for each match, I have something I want to say as you guys are talking about this. I have words to put for the matches and everything. I enjoyed this. We'll get to it. But there was something that pissed me off. And I hope you guys catch on to it. It pisses me off royally. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 6.
I can't wait to hear this.
6 of them. And I'm like, holy fuck, stop already. So, Chad is ready to go. He's raring. He's got his computer ready. First thing we see is Gary Michael Cabetta, our buddy, getting ready to announce everything. And we're off. Boom. No, nothing else. Here's the national anthem matches. And it's Boris Zukov against Brad Rangans. They butchered this name 6 times. And this isn't something I'm bitching about. He's Riggins, he's Ragans, he's Riggins. This guy did not know who Brad Rangans was at all.
They do that later, too, in another match.
Right. So, Chad, are you awake? Do you want to go first on this match?
Somebody else go first. I want to see how you guys butcher his name, and I'll just copy somebody that sounds good.
All right.
Brad Ragans. I purposely mumbled that so you couldn't tell how I pronounced it. Brad Ragans, I guess, right? Like Ronald Reagan, but with an S on the end?
No, it's
Rangans? I honestly don't know either.
It's Rhaegens, Rangans.
Okay.
No, it's Rheingans is how they spell it.
See? All right, there you go. 2 different spellings, same person.
How many N's are in the name? How many N's are in the name?
1.
Just 1 at the end. Okay, so it's Reagan's.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2. The
Okay,
one at the very end next to the last letter, and the one right in the middle after the I and before the G.
So it's Rangans. It's Rangans. Okay, you're right, Mark.
How about we just say Brad R?
Okay, Mark doing the Rob Van Dam double thumb to himself. All right, Brad R trained our boys, our drinking buddies, the Destruction Crew.
He did.
He did. He trained Wayne the Train and me and Mike. Now's not the time for that story, right? This is going to be long enough as it is. This was about what I expected from an opening match. You can tell that Brad Rangans was a trainer, and I don't mean this. I mean, the promo at the beginning was nothing spectacular. Didn't make me want to watch the match. The match itself was great work. It really was. Nice reversals. Good, solid wrestling match. Good opener to warm up the crowd.
Yeah, Boris Zukov has a sticker on his head of the sickle, the Russian symbol. He has his bun. You know, he looks like he's just ready to leave AWA, heading over to WWF at this time. I don't know how much longer he stays, but
a lot of guys on this show were gone within months.
Yeah. The big thing is there was a head knocker about a third of the way through the match, and you would have thought that was going to be the finisher of the night. A head knocker! And I'm like, oh, wow, I do that to my son right now, and he gets up and punches me. But
is that what they call, like, the skull cracker, too? Like the head between the knees that Andre the Giant would do and jump up? And yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah. It was an opening match, and apparently I don't know who was doing the real play-by-play. Larry Marshall was in and out when he wasn't getting eaten by the Road Warriors or destroyed by somebody else or whatever. I don't know who it was, but he didn't know what to call a belly-to-belly suplex, so he called it a body-to-body suplex. It was just...
And the same with the gut wrench. The gut wrench, which is different. It's what Sheik did, where you hook him around the waist. He called that a body-to-body. Aren't they all body-to-body? It requires two bodies, one connected to the other.
Right.
It's a body-to-body slam. It was a body-to-body punch.
Body-to-body figure four. Yes, everything is a body-to-body. You see where I'm going with this. The wrestling was great, but I dove in the other way, and the commentary and everything else, my God, it was like some people that we know putting a mic on and talking. Chad, what do you got?
Opening match. It was a good opening match, not a great one, kind of something to get the crowd wound up. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was a pretty decent match, to be honest with you. You've kind of ripped apart the commentating and everything like that, so we'll just let that die. Thankfully.
Oh, it's not going to stop.
Two quick points. For a show that was this long, and they were trying to feature a lot of talent, they could have used some shorter matches. So for the way this ended, with a surprising power slam for the 1, 2, 3, instead of at 12 minutes, you probably could have done that at 5. You know what I mean? You could have gotten these guys in and out of there for what the match represented. Yay, USA won. Moving on. The other quick point I want to make, Sheik Adnan was the manager for this. There are 3 character changes in wrestling I simply still to this day cannot believe. 2 are in this match. One is that Sheik Adnan, who's actually Iraqi, was Billy White Wolf in the 70s, teaming up with Chief Jay Strongbow, an Iraqi and an Italian pretending to be Indians. That's crazy. Even looking at them, I can't believe that's him. And the other thing is, 3 years earlier, Boris Zukov was a Marine, a U.S. Marine in North Carolina, as Private Jim Nelson. He goes to Minnesota and he's a Russian. And they said that was because his Ivan Koloff impression was so good. He used to make the boys in the back laugh with that. And they said, you ever leave a territory, maybe be a Russian somewhere else. And that's what he did. I still cannot believe those are the same guy. That's all.
Wow. Nice. All right. Next up, we have the midgets match. It is Lord Littlebrook against Little Tokyo against Little Mr. T and Cowboy Lang. He's not little. He's just Cowboy Lang. And my big beef is you have a special referee in this match, Gary Lumpkin from WGOVBABATI TV, whatever, clearly not trained to be a referee, or they told him any spots. Because anytime they were bouncing off the ropes, he went to the middle of the ring. Where does everything...
So annoying.
Where does everything happen when you're bouncing off the ropes? In the middle of the ring! This guy effed up this match so bad. And then at the end, he counted to 2 3/4, got up and rang the bell, and it was a hokey match. It was... Back then, the midgets were there. It was hokey. At one point, all the midgets attacked the referee. Yeah. Go ahead.
For what it was, though, it wasn't bad. In that, to your point, Mark, the referee didn't know what the hell was going on. So they couldn't do all the funny stuff they do in every single midget match where you bite the ref's ass, you kick him in the shin, you run around in circles, you accidentally pin the ref. These guys actually had to work a little bit, and they did an okay job. It sucked that the referee didn't know what day it was.
Hey, wait a minute. Big or small, AWA has the best wrestling of all.
Yep. What a slogan.
Go ahead, Chad.
Hey, Mark, just remember, Mark, when you bitch about the windmill referee from AEW, you can think back to this referee.
Yeah, Bryce Remsburg is friends with Matt Bish, by the way. He's working on getting him on the show. But nonetheless, Bryce Remsburg looks like Tommy Young right now compared to this guy. Bryce Remsburg is never going to come on this show if he listens to any episode that we talked about AEW. He's going to hate us. Or he's just going to shit on our show when he does come on. Good way to get the win. The Cowboy rolls up. I believe it was Lord Littlebrook with the scissor roll. And when was the last time you saw a scissor roll win the match?
That time, I guess. April, whatever.
Last time was in a midgets match.
Yeah.
This was a card to kind of go up against WrestleMania 2.
Which was like 2 weeks earlier, 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah. So
yeah.
We have a special ring announcer. Chuck Lillengrath gets to announce Colonel De Beers and Wahoo McDaniels because he's a horse breeder. Great. Thank you, Chuck Lillengrath. Anybody?
Yeah.
Colonel De Beers, one of the greatest heels that I'm surprised didn't get stabbed or shot or killed in wrestling history, against the proud Native American Wahoo McDaniel. It was what you'd expect from him. Neither one of them were technical gods or anything. They just kind of slapped the piss out of each other for a little bit, and that was it. Ends in a DQ. I didn't expect more with this one.
That's about it. Yeah, stiff shots, which is what you'd expect from Wahoo, and it's almost like he wanted Colonel De Beers to give it right back, which he did. McDaniel was coming from downtown with those chops like he always did. De Beers actually just came kind of straightforward, kind of throwing more like a boxer at times, rather than the big haymaker that you see in wrestling. But my guess is no less stiff. These guys really laid into each other. The end was all right. I don't mind. Not everything's got to be decisive. That's what wrestling is. There's got to be continued. And this is the perfect feud for that. The opener, fine. That's a one and done. And maybe it was the last of their matches, with Rengans and Zukov. But this could be continued. But we just saw too much of this during the course of the night. Give us our one DQ, our one count out. But yeah, I was okay with this end.
We're getting there. This match, I think, even if it was the opening to a storyline, could have had some more time, because these are two legitimized workers. Everybody knew who they were. I would have liked to see this one go maybe 3 or 4 extra minutes. End the same way. I'm okay with the ending, but just these guys deserved more time than some of the shit that's coming or had just happened. So that's all I have to say about that. But I agree. I hope maybe we'll dive into it that this was the start of a huge storyline with them. I like both of these guys all the time. De Beers for being a dick, and Wahoo just because the stories of Wahoo and Wahoo himself. Next up, we have Rock and Roll Buck Zumhoff, and his promo you couldn't hear because the music was blaring. They had the camera set the tape behind them, and then as soon as his interview was over, he hit play and went into the ring, but you didn't know what was being said. And he's taken on Tiger Mask, which is unbelievable within himself. This match, not as good as it should have been.
Hey, Mark, I hate to interrupt with a thing here, but did y'all know that the match after Colonel De Beers' match, this was the Midnight Rockers against Doug Summer and Buddy Rose, one of their better matches, and it is removed off of the network lineup.
I was gonna, after we talked about this match, we were gonna say that, but that's fine. Talk about it first. Why was this pulled from the network?
no idea. When I seen that, I tried looking around more through the net. Why was this removed? Why was this removed? The only thing I could honestly couldn't find anything concrete, but the only thing I could think of was that it was because of Shawn Michaels. But that doesn't make sense. But who knows?
They show him in other AWA skits or shows that they have on there, so I don't know. And they can't say because it was because Doug Summers and Buddy Rose, because they play a part in something later on down the show that they show up anyway. So they just scrapped this match from the network and whatever. But
it is one of their better matches, and you know where it is, guys?
On YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Yep. Which I started to watch it on YouTube, and then Mark said, it's on the network. So I went back and watched it on the network, and I didn't even realize they cut that match. What a shame. I wish I knew what the explanation was for that, but nevertheless. So what was the next match, Mark?
Zumhoff against Tiger Mask.
Right. So Zumhoff's got the radio to his ear, the boombox, and is what we're hearing supposed to be coming through his radio? Because if it is, how did it not blow his head off?
Right.
If the whole 60,000 seat capacity place can hear, how did it not just blow through his ears? Anyway, I'll agree, not entirely what I expected. Tiger Mask was way ahead of his time as far as like the high flying action. Tiger Mask you could put into a match with today's high flyers and he wouldn't miss a beat. Buck Zumhoff just wasn't quite on that level. I didn't get some of the storytelling. I thought they worked as two baby faces. So during the course of the card, you knew who the good guys and bad guys were, and if you didn't, you figured it out because everybody was good at what they did. This, to me, seemed like two good guys, and then all of a sudden Buck Zumhoff committed himself to taking off Tiger Mask's mask. And I'm not sure why. Well, what was the point? He hadn't been hiding a foreign object in there. He hadn't been doing a switcheroo with anybody. All of a sudden you want to unmask the guy, and I wasn't quite sure why. It distracted from the match you guys were having.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I was thinking the same thing. Good guys, and then all of a sudden he goes after the mask. Was this a prelude to him turning? Was this hey, we got to have somebody cheering for Tiger Mask? I don't know. I didn't quite get it. I'm glad I didn't see this match until well after other Tiger Mask matches because it would have kind of made me disinterested a little bit.
Good point.
So this was just kind of an match, and this was at the height of old rock and roll Bucks, cocaine snorting and everything before matches and stuff too, and before his pedophile convictions and that.
I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. God.
Yeah. I knew if anybody was going to bring it up, it was going to be Chad. Anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. And looking at the history of the wrestling and stuff and people getting arrested and stuff, I never thought of this with him until years later. And then dude was like, he was a grade A into that kind of stuff. And they said he was always high in the dressing rooms. He'd have 2 or 3 lines before his matches almost every night. And it's like, oh, hell, you didn't have to worry about the boombox in your ear at that point. You just didn't give a shit.
No, but it's important that you brought that up because if people don't know, now they know the kind of person he was. So maybe we should just move on.
Next matchup is Mike Rotundi, whatever one he was that day. Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham against the Fabulous Ones. And I was excited to see this match. But beforehand, we have to know, tall or short, flashy or plain, whatever, action's always fast and furious, hot and heavy with the AWA where the best wrestlers come to wrestle.
The NBA, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Stanley Cup, the winners of the Johnsonburg Ridgeway gas station fight. They have all the best in the AWA. He was Rotundo because I noticed, I think his last name is Rotunda, is his actual last name. For whatever reason in WWF, he was Rotundo, and the AWA tried to follow the WWF's lead in certain things. So I think they went with Rotundo because that's how he was most recently known. He and Wyndham recently were former tag team champions. This was a very, very brief stint for these guys. They went to the AWA, and no sooner that may be their only match, as a matter of fact, because it wasn't long after that. I think Barry went back maybe to Florida for a little bit before going to the NWA. And then Rotundo went right back to the WWF, and they tried to revive the U.S. Express, or maybe they called it the American Express, with Danny Spivey, and it just didn't work. But they were there very, very briefly. Glad they were, because this was a great match. And this is what I was saying earlier about mispronunciation. I've always known him as Steve Kern. Throughout this match, he was Steve Kearns, and it irritated the shit out of me.
Skinner.
I don't know why he was – yeah, Skinner. I don't know why he was plural all of a sudden. Stan Lane lost the beard, and so we kind of got a little taste of the Midnight Express that was kind of on the horizon. I don't know how soon after this match he jumped ship and joined Bobby Eaton. But in terms of the match, Barry Windham, good grief. How talented was this guy? He could whip off the ropes, back and forth, jump, duck, leapfrog with Stan Lane and Steve Kern, and then turn on a power move in a second, almost to show that I can do everything you guys can do, plus I'm a foot taller and 50 pounds heavier, and I'll just kick you in the face if I feel like it. Good stuff. They talked to each other the whole match. Mike Rotundo would say, Barry, look out for whatever. Barry would say, come on, Mike, he's trying. And the commentary added to it, how well these guys knew each other. They know what the other's doing at all times. Good commentary, great matches. My favorite match of the night. Two very, very talented teams.
Chad, before real quick, stupid things I have to get in. Capetta called him Winham. He had Stan Lane. Stan Lane had educated feet. And once Wyndham and Rotundo get the win, they are the kingpins of tag team wrestling as well. We know a couple kingpins.
Yeah.
But, all right. It was my favorite match of the night as well. Chad, what's your take?
Yeah, I'll say straight off, favorite match of the night. Barry Windham deserving of a run with the NWA belt when it meant something, the actual 10 pounds of gold versus a non-denominational. The man could wrestle with anybody. I think, he's beyond the, wrestling a blow-up doll or a 9-year-old Chinese girl like Kenny Omega, but just a great wrestler all around. Could have had much longer, much better career if he, would have got some title reigns. Something I wanted to bring up, I just ran across here. This Fabulous Ones match, this was one of their last matches as a team. The night before, they lost at the Jim Crockett Cup, Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup, in the first round to the Fantastics.
Ooh.
Right.
So they were doing double double time or whatever. So this was kind of Stan Lane was getting ready for, to get out of the Fabulous Ones and just kind of fart around a little bit before he got a call from Dusty and Jim Crockett. Great match. Nothing you wouldn't expect from these four.
I wish, you brought up the Crockett Cup, I wish those were in totality somewhere to watch, that we could break one of those down. But nonetheless, next match.
Wyndham and Rotundo get the win.
Yeah.
Elbow off the top rope. I think Stan Lane was going for a pile driver on Rotundo. Wyndham jumped off, elbowed him in the back of the head, and Rotundo fell on top of the pit. The fans know.
Crockett Cup 86 is on the network. Any video that was done of it That is on the network in the Hidden Jewels.
Oh, maybe John will find that. Next matchup is Giant Baba against Triple B. Bulldog Bob Brown. Giant Baba, a little bit long in the tooth here, as this was not a quick match for him.
Giant Baba wrestled similarly to Andre the Giant, even though he wasn't carrying all the weight. Little things, like if you were going to beat on him, he needed to be leaning so that you could reach him. You know, and I noticed that against the ropes. He wasn't just leaning back against the ropes. He was sitting on the ropes so that Bulldog can beat on him. This is about what I expected from these guys. I think it was cool to just get a clean finish. You got some roughhouse tactics from Bulldog Bob, and you get a clean kind of squash 1, 2, 3 from Giant Baba.
Coast to coast, border to border, to Canada, U.S., Japan, we got the best wrestlers in the world. AWA Wrestling. I got them all. I really did write them all down, but it pissed me off.
Yeah, like, we get it. We get it, you guys.
There's 2 more. Go ahead, Chad. What'd you think of this?
Anytime I see Giant Baba, I think of, awkwardly, Antonio Inoki, and back when the WWF title was traded, as a favor, and the NWA title was traded as a favor for him from the companies, and I'm just like, Baba reminds me of Giant Gonzalez.
That's a backhand.
Just maybe not as bad with the plotting in that, but his movements just remind me of that. He was just a big monster, in his day. So this was about all you could expect, honestly, for this.
Chad, I don't know what you mean. Backlund had one long 6-year title reign. The belt never changed hands in Japan and then was returned. And as far as I know, just one long. Same with Flair.
Oh.
He didn't drop.
Okay, record books don't matter, Vince.
Next match is Harley Race against Ricky Martel. What a classic! It was great. I just didn't like the ending, and that's why this is my second favorite match of the night. Somebody could have went over in this match, and I'll spoil it. Double count out, and it ruins what was a great match.
Yeah, another good match for, between 2 guys that you'd expect it. I think what hurt this match too was where it was in the card. People were starting to, if not, to get really tired and disinterested, and the result of this match did not help anything at all.
AWA, the home of champions, the only place champions want to come and wrestle. AWA.
Nice. Yeah, Chad, you're right. There were a couple of boring chants at the beginning of this during a top wrist lock, which, the match can be as great as you want it to be. If you don't kind of put the whole show together, then it just doesn't work. This was a long show, like you said, Chad. The end result didn't help matters. If I'm looking at this just as an individual match, Rick Martel stands out to me because he had a certain style. But we see here he can adapt to anybody. He can tone it down to the slower, methodical Harley Race style. He can get into the strikes and the knees. Some nice suplexes, not just for the sake of a suplex, but they made sense. Very, very good match. We saw 2 versions of the body-to-body suplex in this particular match.
We did.
Come on, pick a winner. Harley Race was in the WWF maybe the following month. Do business, Harley. Come on, man. Your time had come and gone, and Rick Martel was a former champion, or somebody. Come on. Double count out again.
Next matchup is the Women's Battle Royal, and once I saw Sherry Martel announce that she was in it, I started my laundry. because I knew where this was going.
Yeah. I figured she was winning this. Luna Vachon was Lunacious, Linear Vachon. What the hell was she this time? She had a different name. It was fine as far as battle royals go. I knew she was going to win. I always enjoyed, even as a kid, I didn't quite understand the dynamic, and maybe I understand it a little more now. Doug Summers and Buddy Rose seemed to genuinely respect her as a peer, as an equal. They were, three cogs in the same machine. And I didn't see that anyone was a leader or you had men and a woman. I just saw them as equal. And you could tell they were genuinely proud of her when they lifted her on their shoulders. Like, you want a battle royal that means just as much as if one of us had won a battle royal with men, because we're going to be tag team champions and you're going to be the women's champion, and that's all that matters, and we're going to have all the belts.
Chad, when I think of the AWA, the only woman that pops up in my mind ever is Sherry Martel. Like, they had women in and out of there, but nobody was a mainstay like Sherry was.
Yeah, I can't even remember until looking at this what other women were there, and I remember Sherry, because of being with Doug Summers and Buddy Rose in the matches against the Rockers, which were freaking off the charts for that time. But yeah, she was kind of, I hate to say the man, but she was kind of the woman in the AWA at that time, bar none.
Next matchup is for the Americans Championship. You have Sergeant Slaughter taking on Kamala, and Kamala is still scared as his child, but still one of my favorite to watch. I could watch Kamala matches all the time. They're the same match. Whatever.
For shit's sake, children. Go ahead.
I'm done. That was it.
Oh, okay. I really enjoyed this match because it didn't waste any time. It got right to the point. Kamala hit some big moves early, and you're left thinking, if he just knew how to pin someone, he'd have beaten Sergeant Slaughter in the first 2 minutes, right? He hit the splash in the back, didn't think to turn him over for the pin. This was the one match, as much as I enjoyed other matches, and knowing the result of this, I'll tell you why in a second, this made me think, oh my gosh, he's going to lose here in a matter of 2 minutes. But he didn't think to turn him over. Sergeant Slaughter looked outmatched, but true American spirit, found a way to fight back, even with the foreign object, which I think is how this ended too, right? DQ, foreign object.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. You can't have too many of these. It ruins things. The only other thing I want to say is, and I told you about this, Mark, I read a magazine article that after this match, when Sarge won, there was a parade in New York City, which I don't know why. The match was wherever, Minnesota or
yeah.
There was a parade in New York City, and taxis were blaring their horns because he defended America. I don't want to spoil this for anybody. I lived there at the time. That didn't happen. I don't remember it happening, so...
You were still too much on a high on WrestleMania 1, that's why. A year later.
Maybe. I was, yeah, maybe that's it.
Chad, calm us down, please.
I don't have a whole hell of a lot with this match. This was a typical Kamala match of mass confusion, him not knowing how to win it. Knew how to knock the shit out of the guy, but he didn't know how to win it. And this was, let's give our great American hero, our G.I. Joe Jr., Sergeant Slaughter, a win and, a parade that doesn't exist in New York.
And this is when Kamala made the jump to WWF later on that you get Kimchi, you get Slick, you get somebody that kind of helps him understand how to pin people. Then it wasn't for the Sheik to bring him out.
Yeah, and a couple of things I want to mention about this match. I'm not sure. It was the Sheik that was in his corner. Yeah? Okay. in the territories at the time, and this is politically incorrect, but it's what it was. You had your type, your guy, your woman that fit a demographic. Having Sheik Adnan and the guy from Skandar Akbar from Texas, having them on the same card, somewhat similarly dressed. Call me an ignorant prick, I kind of forgot who was out for which match. Just off the top of my head, I don't remember.
That's why I take notes.
Right. I usually do too, but I wanted to, yeah. But, you know, you look at the WWF's managers at the time, they were all different type characters. And I think you had managers on this card that, to my knowledge, the only two managers that come to mind, they just were a little too similar. The other thing I want to mention is people always say they talk about Hulk Hogan and only he could have carried the banner. I tend to agree with that. But if you were going to force me, if Hulk Hogan couldn't or didn't or wouldn't, who would I put in his place? I think Sergeant Slaughter. Go ahead.
I thought you were going to say Corporal Kirshner.
No. Sergeant Slaughter could have carried the banner through the 80s in the WWF. I think he was that over. The character was perfect for the 80s. I don't think he continues into the 90s and 2000s like Hulk Hogan does, but I think he could have carried it through the 80s. And then the Iraqi turn would be similar to your NWO betrayal. Anyway.
All right, long-winded. Long Riders are going to take on Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall for the AWA Tag Team Championship. So Big Scott Hall gets the trophy prior as most popular wrestler from Pro Wrestling Report, the lower grade Pro Wrestling Illustrated, which I bought that too, so it doesn't really matter. So,
when I said there were three things I still can't believe, three characters that were other characters, and I mentioned Zukov and White Wolf, to this day, even he's retired and doesn't dress like Razor Ramon anymore, I still cannot believe that was Razor Ramon. And guys, Mark and I followed wrestling entirely too closely. And we thought we knew everything. We thought we knew the history. I'm telling you guys, we would talk about wrestlers we hadn't seen in a while. And I can remember one of us mentioning Scott Hall, like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that guy? And this wasn't Razor Ramon days, but this was Diamond Stud days. We could not have told you Diamond Stud was Scott Hall. We could tell you Razor Ramon was Diamond Stud, right? And then we pick up a magazine and they show the side-by-side and we were like, our minds were blown. And for me, to this day, I still can't believe the transformation. It doesn't even look like the guy. As far as the match goes, I've always liked the Long Riders. Hall and Hennig were a special team that didn't quite have enough time together. I think they could have been one of the great teams. They read each other during the match. I think they read each other during the post-match interview where Hennig says it's not about the belts, and Hall just puts his belt down, like in solidarity with his brother. Great moment, tiny moment, but great. It told a good story of how tight these guys were.
Chad.
I liked it. I mean, it was another match with this card being too long that was kind of hurt. But, loved Kurt Hennig, loved Scott Hall at the time. The whole transformation into Razor Ramon, I was like, what in the hell, how the hell, and where the hell did they do that to him? Type deal. It was a good match. Just telling a little bit of their usual storyline. This to me was Kurt Hennig kind of showing him blossoming. I wish he would have gotten more before the AWA folded. Wish he wouldn't have lost to Jerry Lawler. But this was, Kurt Hennig starting to sprout and how great he was.
Yeah, I think if they would have hitched the horse to Hennig a little bit more on AWA, I'm not saying it would still be here now, but it wouldn't have folded in 2 years after this card, right?
Yeah. And this told a better, it told a different different story than some of the other tag team matches we saw, like Wyndham and Rotundo and the Fantastics was a different story than this. This told more of a typical story, and in that you kind of see Kurt Hennig carrying the load. Like, Hennig's the one that got beat on for most of the match, gets the hot tag, Hall beats up both guys at the same time, tags Hennig right back in, and the commentator's like, well, he just needed a quick breath, and now he's ready to come back. Hall was maybe a year in, actually. Not long into his career at all. Very young. Hennig was a workhorse in this match for sure.
Next up, you have Larry Zbyszko against Scott Ledoux in a European rules fight match. 10 2-minute rounds with a minute rest in between, wearing boxing gloves, but they can still do wrestling moves. And then it just goes to shit from there. We see Larry the Axe Hennig is the referee. This could have been on a TV show. This was bad.
This was a clusterfuck. That's my analogy, John.
I loved the shit out of this match.
Of course you would.
I'm telling you, I said Wyndham and Rotundo. I settled on that. I had to almost flip a coin to choose my favorite match between that one and this one. I loved it. A little more polish, a little more clarity, I should say. And this would have been my favorite match. I don't know what made it European. I don't exactly know what the rules were. And I don't think Larry the Axe exactly knew what the rules were. Had they just polished those things, this would have been my favorite match. Guys, this was ahead of its time. We have MMA now. We have the UFC. This was kind of that style of match with enough pro wrestling sprinkled in. Larry Zbyszko landed some kicks that maybe didn't look planned, that just looked like they came out of nowhere. When this guy, what was his name?
Scott Ledoux.
Ledoux. Scott Ledoux. Like I don't even know who the guy is. Was he from the world of boxing or martial arts? I don't know. But this was an answer to Mr. T versus Roddy Piper, but trying to make it more legitimate. Get an actual fighter in there. But some of those spinning kicks by Zbyszko landed flush. The mat wrestling, the elbows, the strikes on the mat. I loved all of it. Again, a freaking DQ.
Yep. Number 3. Moving along quickly now, because this is going to be a long show. Nick Bockwinkel taking on Stan Hansen for the AWA title. And this was a DQ as well. Back-to-back DQs. This is where I'm like, man, what the hell? So then I actually go back and look at my notes. I'm like, this is the 4th one. 4 DQs on an event that's got 16 matches, first of all. Whatever, it's a 4th of them. But still, not back-to-back. Not back-to-back. Whatever.
Yeah. Does that include the double count-out, too? When you say DQs, does that include the double count-out with Race and Mark? Yes, still. That's too much. This was good. This was Stan Hansen working stiff like he always did. Nick Bockwinkel utilizing his wrestling skills to ground the bigger man. That was nice to see. Like, he kind of outfought him a little bit, or tried to outfight him. And then in the end, wrestling is what wins. You've got this guy going hog wild, and Bockwinkel is able to take him to the mat. I thought this was good stuff.
The leanest, the meanest, the roughest, the toughest. AWA Wrestling is second to none.
There it is. I enjoyed this match. I hated the ending again. But if you're going to have a DQ, maybe this was where to have it. Don't give us 4, give us 1, and this is the one. Because Bockwinkel getting pinned is not the best idea. And you don't want Hansen to lose the belt yet. So
how about we have a title change? I'm pissed that we didn't have a title change the whole night.
Right. Well, because Hansen walked out with the belt not long after this, right? Didn't he just retired. He just dropped it and left, right?
Chad says
no. He took it he went to Japan with it and refused to send him the title belt back or come back and drop it.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of those two things. Maybe this would have been the opportunity to get it off of him, but...
Then we have, coming up, the main event which we have 3 more matches, but we have the main event right now. It is Bruiser Brody and Nord the Barbarian taking on Snuka, who's filling in for a seriously injured Jerry Blackwell, and Greg Gagne. John's happy that Blackwell wasn't on the card because he's always hated him and Jake the Milkman Milligan. At one point in my childhood, I thought Bruiser Brody and Nord the Barbarian were the same guy at some point.
See that?
So I'm like, holy shit, these guys are together. I don't know if they've ever tagged before or again after this. I liked it. It was in a cage. I liked it because Brody, I just, his balls to the wall style, I liked it, and the Barbarian took over as well. I would have liked to see Blackwell instead of Snuka, though, or anybody else from AWA. Nothing against Snuka. Him and Gagne didn't have, how did they connect, to be the tag team?
Go
ahead, Jen.
This was actually Jimmy Snuka's first match in the AWA, in this tour of the AWA, and substituting for Blackwell, who failed a physical. Big surprise there.
Huh.
And the Greg Gagne thing, it's like you have all these guys and then you have Greg Gagne. It's like putting Wardlow, Luchasaurus, and then having Pockets kicking them in the shins and shit.
Orange Cassidy is what he means, folks. Okay.
It just didn't. Greg Gagne was out of place. You would have gotten a better reaction if you would have put one of the midgets in there. But I don't know. The match was what it was. Just a way for Vern Gagne to get revenge.
I was going to say the stipulation was if Gagne and Snuka win, Vern Gagne gets to take on the Sheik in the cage for 10 minutes. And Gagne wins, and then we get to see Vern against the Sheik. John wants to say something else.
No, I liked Snuka in this match. You always look for something you've never seen before. We've always seen one partner ram an opponent into his partner's knee. We've seen someone back someone into a corner like Nikolai Volkov used to do, like get the guy in a front face lock and run him backwards into the corner. We saw a combination of that, which I had never seen before or since, where I think Brody had Snuka in a front face lock and ran him backwards, but Barbarian had his knees up in the corner. So that was pretty cool to see. I thought Snuka did good work in this match. Everything was just a little anticlimactic. Like, if you're bringing in Jimmy Snuka for a surprise, which I think you got to go back about a year earlier, he showed up. This was maybe his first match in AWA, as they said, on this particular tour, or he was back. But, guys, he left WWF a year ago almost to that day, 85. Like, shortly after WrestleMania, he was gone and did a tour of AWA. So I'll look into this. I believe it was his first match back. I don't believe it was his first match ever in the AWA. But anyway, if you're going to bring in this surprise, it's got to be big, man. You have to sell this. You have to make me care. Oh, yeah, they brought in Jimmy Snuka. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the match afterwards was get going already. Kick his ass. Like, tear his shit off. Don't let me help you get this off.
Yeah.
Like he was undressing his kid for a bath.
Gagne was at that age, at that time, 60 years old, and I didn't look to see what the Sheik, maybe 58. I mean, what did we expect from two 60-year-olds in a ring? It would be putting us in a ring. We've never been in wrestling shape, but we would do the same thing at this point. All three of us. What the hell? Let's go at it.
Then hurry it along. Hurry it along.
It didn't need to be 7 minutes.
I can't believe they locked up at one point. Beat the shit out of the guy and move on.
Hey, my plus with this match, and I don't care what you guys say, it didn't end in a disqualification.
Touche.
So that gives it right there at least 3 or 4 stars that it didn't end in a disqualification.
Gagne announced it was his last match as well. Once he got
whatever.
He did. I made a point of it. This is my last match. Yeah, go on and see. And then finally, with 3/4 of the 23,000 stadium gone already, we have John's favorite tag team, the Road Warriors, taking on Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin. A pile driver. The first move of this match is a pile driver. How does that happen? You're not going to let me... Oh, come here. Let me just stick my head in there. Pow! A pile driver. That's what I have to say about this match. Why a pile driver to start the match?
Tecmo World Wrestling. That you could do that on Tecmo World Wrestling. Yeah, that's why. Here's my take on this match, and the reason I chose this card after Mark had already recommended it to me, and I was too angry to notice. I wanted to see an entire card with Road Warriors and Freebirds. Now, at this point, Jimmy Garvin and Mr. Electricity had lost to Hall and Henning. The Road Warriors wanted revenge on the Freebirds for costing them the belts. What better way than to get half of this team and half of that team in the match? So that's kind of the story behind this. I get the invulnerability. I think it hurts to an extent. The invulnerability with squash guys on TV, I get it. The invulnerability against a team that won championships across promotions, it destroys them. You know, Hulk Hogan said Hall was so good at this. NWA Hall was so good because he did the "ooh, I'm so scared" thing with the hands, but he also knew when to sell something. He goes, if I tear my T-shirt off and point it at him, and Hall does the "ooh, I'm so scared," he goes, I'm ruined. My gimmick is ruined. That is supposed to be what frightens you, and now you just act like you don't care. Well, where do we go from here? I mean, Garvin and Hayes couldn't do anything to get over on these guys. It bums me out how indestructible these guys were. And it goes back to my point at the very start of the show when Flair went to Texas. He found a way to leave with the belt, but got treated like a bitch the entire time by the wrestlers, by the commentary, by what you could pick up on the mic, like, you know, Kevin pulling Kerry. Kerry, you're going to kill him. He's a human. He's the world champion, you guys. And you're treating him like a bitch. And anyway, that's what the Road Warriors did to everybody. It lacked believability for me.
Chad, wrap this up.
Oh, let me see here. How the hell do you wrap this up here?
I'll wrap up the segment. What were your thoughts on the match?
This was Jimmy Garvin's final AWA appearance. Road Warriors had 2 more matches in there. This was just them kicking the shit out of them. It could have been a bit better, but like I said, they just freaking ran over everybody. I don't know if they were trying to keep the Road Warriors in the AWA because they would lose them shortly, or what the deal was.
That's a great point. Like, yeah, don't leave. You know, we'll give you this squash over a pretty good team if you hang around. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Something, Mark, I just read on here that we were joking about the, awesome attendance and everything and the card and all that, how it was bullshit. They reported the attendance like this because they wanted to outdraw the day before on the Crockett Cup. I found in 2 or 3 different sources that they wanted to say they outdrew the Crockett Cup. But what really they didn't, obviously, they weren't even close. And this ended up being for Vern Gagne. He lost after taking care of all the bills, the wrestlers, everything. He lost, think of this, back then, over $200,000.
Ouch.
In with this card. So, that's the equivalent around $600,000-$700,000 today.
If not more.
If not more. This was bad. This was him trying to keep the AWA alive, and he just took a humongous loss on all this.
There are some huge names, and they all need to get paid.
All
Big names on that card. Go ahead.
Let's wrap this up with our rating system. John, you go first since it was your pick after my pick, then your pick.
It was enjoyable wrestling start to finish. I just don't think they had the formula to make it work. AWA was kind of losing its identity at this point. Enjoyable, 4 beers, shorten it up a little bit, change a couple of endings. I'd have gone 6. I'm going with 4.
Chad?
I got to go with all the problems that they had. I got to go with 3 on this one. There was a couple of individual matches that you could latch onto that would make it worthwhile, but if you graded the overall thing, I can't get past, the 800 DQ finishes, 120-pound wrestler being in there with monsters, stuff like that. I got to give it a 3.
I agree with Chad on this one, John. I have to do 3 as well because of some of this stuff. I was going to be looking at some of the things that are insignificant to a wrestling show. On paper, the matches could have blown us out of the water. The DQs, and I know it's self-promotion. We do it too. Everybody does it. But just say AWA Wrestling's great. Just everything. They were written down for whoever the hell was saying them. It got under my skin. So, all right, let's end this segment and move along to the announcement of what we're going to do next week and cover wrestling this week right after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Randall Floyd, the three-time Ohio Valley Wrestling Television Champion, and you right now are listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
And we're back on Can Crushers. My mind is blown. We're here on Can Crushers, whatever. During the break, Vanguard 1 brings coffee to the Padlano household. Why every time during a goddamn break you have to grind coffee in our ears? Legit.
Because what do you want me to do? I mean,
make it prior to the goddamn show.
Sorry. So the grinder sounded like Vanguard, huh?
Yeah.
Vanguard 1. Yeah.
1A.
That loud. 1A. Sorry. All right. I'm sorry.
Kopi Luwak is the coffee we need to order for John.
What is that?
It is digested coffee cherries which have been eaten and shit out by the Asian palm civet. It's therefore called civet coffee. Cherries are fermented as they pass through its intestines, and after being crapped out with other fecal matter, they are collected. Like $50 or more a pound for this.
No thanks. What I have is about half that price. It's still a little pricey. It's about $25 a pound, but yeah.
Can we talk about wrestling? I don't want to talk about cat shit coffee. Whatever.
Yeah, let's not talk about that shit.
Yeah, that's bullshit. They have that too, by the way.
Hey, Mark, come on. Let's order some of this for John, and he has to taste test it if we order it.
Yeah, you know what? I've never had it. I'm completely familiar with what you're saying, Chad. I was a coffee roaster for 17 years. I know exactly what you're saying. I don't buy into it. If you guys go halvesies on a pound of coffee for me, I'll try it, and then I'll report back to you.
I'm waiting for you guys to buy it. We need to get beer back into this. We need to maybe record Saturday nights when we're drunk or something.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, Chad off air did say he had too much of a... I'm not drunk this weekend. I've taken a weekend off because just down in the dumps. I'm down in the dumps, and I don't need that to add to anything. You were taking over for me this week.
All right. That's all I got to say.
AEW, guys. AEW, because WWE we're going to probably blow over like we normally do. What did we like about AEW? We don't have to go in order. We just can just bring shit up and talk about it, because that's the segment that we're on. Bring it up and talk about it. Throw it against the wall and find out what sticks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. AEW, where the big boys play. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I told you that Britt Baker was going to MJF's doctor.
All right,
and
so
she was going to back.
So Britt comes out in a wheelchair, and she doesn't. The role model should not have ever been hurt. It's been a plan. Statlander, Sheeta, Nyla, and she's even blaming it on Aubrey. All of them are conspiring against her. Britt, I feel your pain.
We conspire against Mark every week. This was a funny promo. The one part seemed ad-libbed, but it was hilarious because she named 3 injuries. What was it? Her nose, her leg, and maybe a concussion or something?
Yep.
I don't know. And she's like, I break my nose, Aubrey's there. And I get a head injury, Aubrey's there. And I break my leg, Aubrey was somewhere.
Right.
Because when she paused, I was like, wait, Aubrey wasn't there. Am I not remembering correctly? She wasn't there for that part. And I said, well, she was somewhere, almost like she read our thoughts. Brilliant stuff. Such a funny promo.
This reminds me of the conspiracy back in the NWA where Tommy Young was always screwing over Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
This is a flashback to that classic.
Yep. Poor Britt.
We have Brian Cage's first match. He destroys Lee Johnson, but whatever. He destroys Lee Johnson. Great promo from Taz, though, to build him up. I think this is the perfect pairing for these two.
They're taking some risks in that they take their time with storylines, which can be a little risky these days. And then they also hurry some along right away to where you think, oh my gosh, now where do they go? Like, where does Brody Lee go from losing to Moxley? And now what if Cage comes in? Thank you. What if Cage comes in and then loses right away? Where does he go from there? But they're doing a nice job of throwing challenger after challenger at Moxley, and then they don't fade away. They find something else for them to do. So this was a great introductory match for him. Good promo, and I love Moxley's body language. Like, nothing affects him, nothing bothers him. Talk is talk. We'll see when we get in the ring.
Chad, do you have anything on Cage? Nothing.
I think it's a good way to bring him in. Personally, I would have rather have seen them brought him in like this than in the whatever the hell chip on a pole match or whatever the hell it was. A more dominant way. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him bring him in a bit more like this, but I think Taz is a voice going back to his ECW, survive if you can, live if I let you type thing. I think it was great.
And somebody else came in too, and we like the way Cage came in. I don't like the way that the tag team FTR came in. The Revival, the Revolt, the whatever the hell we're calling them, it's FTR, is now in AEW, and they take care of the returning Butcher and Blade as well. And there's so much from this I want to talk to you about, because the Butcher and Blade came in white clothes now compared to their gimmick clothes, and you're setting up for FTR against the Young Bucks. Where's Allie? But we find out where Allie is 3 segments down the line. Did you like FTR coming in this way? Chad, you didn't see it, so.
No, I did. I'm glad they're there. I don't care. Overall, I'm glad that they're there. I would have liked to have seen them come in and just kick the ever-loving shit out of Balding Buck and Road Warrior Buck. I would have loved that would have been the absolute greatest thing, but I understand why they didn't do it. They don't want to give us that right off the bat, but they still tease when they went to shake their hands and they turned their backs and walked away. It's like, don't depend on us again for this shit.
So early in the card, though. That was the very first thing, John. A surprise right off the bat? I like them in the middle or the end. What do you think?
No, I think because they're going head-to-head with NXT, and there were actually commercial breaks this time where you had a chance to turn the channel, you've got to do something big near the top of the show so that you make sure people don't turn the channel. I turned it for a second, and guess who I saw? I'll get to this in a second, but guess who I saw on NXT, Chad?
Riho.
Yes. I don't know if she was in this match or not, but there was a woman in this match. Charlotte. She's everywhere. Anyway, no, you got to have a big surprise near the top of the show. This was the right move. I saw the thing unfold a mile away. Sorry. Doesn't make it bad. I did. As soon as they hit the ring, I'm like, they're going to pretend to beat up the Bucks. They're going to turn around and fight the other guys. There's going to be a face-to-face, which is fine. It's setting it up, but at no point did I ever think they were going to help beat up on the Bucks.
Then I want to bring up we're skipping around, Cody and was talking about he's Tom Brady, all that bullshit. But on the outside, you have Brandy and QT and Dustin, and who's draped all over QT Marshall, or Marshall, as normal people pronounce it, was Allie. So Allie, the Demon Bunny, she left the Butcher and the Blade, and now she's making out with QT. Did anybody else catch that?
Maybe that's her guy. I mean, maybe she just manages Butcher and Blade and has a thing going with this guy.
Lucky bastard is all I was thinking.
All right.
Great promo, by the way. I love Cody's promos, man. He just gets to the heart of the matter.
Yeah. Where else do you guys want to go? The Nitro Girls were back on there. Did you see them dancing around at the end of the show? Well, they were the Jacksonville Jaguars ready for the pep rally. The pep rally, let's talk about it now. Because the rest of the stuff, the Battle Royal, you have Jungle Boy taking on Cody at some point in the near future for the TNA Championship, which still wasn't fixed.
Big surprise, though, in the winner of that Battle Royal.
Yeah, would you have? I wouldn't have picked Jungle Boy. I thought it would maybe Luchasaurus or, I don't know.
And it came down to him and Chad's buddy, right? Orange Cassidy?
Yes.
I thought Cassidy was going to win, and I think he can have a very entertaining match with Cody. I'm surprised by this. I looked forward to this match, actually.
I honestly thought that it was going to be, unfortunately, Pockets.
Orange Cassidy.
But then it was just kind of like, okay, they're going to do Jungle Boy because him and Cody can have a really good match. I didn't think it was going to be a big guy. I just wouldn't have gotten Luchasaurus against Cody. I don't think it would have been a good match to advertise with them. But besides the winner, come on, we're looking past. Don't you give me the finger, Mark.
I'm telling you, I'm going there right now. I know what you're going to bring up.
Okay, go ahead.
We're looking at the breakup of MJF and Wardlow happening right now.
Are we, though? Or are they going to drag it out more?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to drag it out, but it's happening. We got the first sniff of that coffee. You see how I brought that back around, John?
Good job.
Good.
It's brewing.
It's brewing, yeah. John, what's your thoughts before Chad goes off? Because his head's going to explode on this.
Yeah, we saw Wardlow protecting MJF during the course of the Battle Royal. I like how that plan only worked for so long. I mean, you could only do that for so long, and then eventually everybody's going to come at you. So they got separated. It was believable how that happened. They did the age-old trick of the guy under the ring, or the guy, I think it was Orange Cassidy. I miss the old days where 10, 15, 18, 20 guys start, and they're all just in there. Orange Cassidy didn't hide under the ring, but he got jumped before the match.
Right.
Yeah. What the hell are they called? The
Lucha
Pride
Brothers.
and Power.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of him on his way to the ring. Yeah. One other quick thing, though, about that promo is Cody saying a bell-to-bell promotion. Can't overstate the importance of that phrase, that term. That's their identity. I think that becomes AEW's identity moving forward, a bell-to-bell promotion.
Okay. Chad, go off on MJF. Go ahead.
Oh, I think when they have them turn, those two against each other, I think Wardlow's going to freaking destroy him. I think they're going to have Wardlow just not sell a damn thing of his, and either MJF run like a scared little punk, or they're just going to have Wardlow just decimate him.
A question that pertains to this. Mark, you and I met Magnum TA, and I don't pretend to know what this means, but Magnum was telling us how he was hurt, and they needed a buddy for Dusty. They turned Nikita sooner than he was ready. And I don't exactly know what that means. Is that they needed him to be a heel, because they work a different style or whatever, but that would have gotten Nikita more experience, and then you could turn him babyface. It happened too soon. Are they rushing this with Wardlow? Do they rush it, do you think? Does he need to kind of get some time in as a heel, for whatever that reason may be?
I don't know. I have points either side, just because I know Wardlow and I like him. I think he'd be fine, but I think he is not. Personally, I don't think he's developed enough as a character for AEW for people to lynch onto him. Probably the bad word of lynch. Cling on to him.
Latch is what you meant.
Both combined. Yeah. Yeah. Chad, what do you think of that question?
I mean, when with the times the way that they are now, not knowing when you're going to go back to fans and stuff like that, they got to keep people interested. So maybe they turn them a little bit quicker than they need to. But this would also, I would not put it past them to turn him, have him, beat the piss out of MJF or whatever, or injure him, and then have him go against Moxley for the title and beat Moxley.
Interesting.
For some reason, that's sitting in my mind that they could do that, because Moxley will have had the title for a while. Big guy with the title, a big guy that can wrestle.
Well, hold on to that for next week, because there's a question that I'm going to play a spoiler and tell everybody. Next week is Can Crushers, Ask Can Crushers Part 2, and I know the questions, they don't. There's something along the lines of that, so hold on to that thought the rest of the week. Let's talk about the pep rally real quick. I sent John an instant text. I said, this is where they turn on Guevara. I said, he's done. They're going to blow him up during this. They didn't. The pep rally was fun. You guys' thoughts?
Bad business decision to order all those shirts, even though he got a good deal.
It was all right. It was funny. It's about what I've come to expect from these guys. I don't think I got anything new out of it, information-wise.
Jericho Tyson's going to happen, and it's because of January 11th, 2010.
That's true. I did ask you, what happened on that date, and you didn't seem to remember either. Does anybody know what happened on that date?
I don't know. It was in WWE. I don't.
Right.
Yeah. So, overall, a good show. It got something going.
Yeah.
Who watched any WWE this week? Hands up.
Oh.
Hands up.
A little.
Yeah, I didn't watch SmackDown, and Raw was just kind of background noise while I did something else.
Raw, I got nothing. I'm going to bitch about that the Street Profits played golf with the Viking Raiders. God damn it, stop this stupid shit. Who's got whatever on in the background, by the way?
That would be John. sounds like he's putting some kind of spray crap in his coffee.
Jesus. All right, whatever. So we got nothing. Somebody just bring up anything about WWE. We'll just talk about it.
You know, so I do want to bring up something, and it's not just because she's somebody that I like, but it goes on to our topic that we had last week in our show about bullying and ignorance and stuff like that. Did you see the thing that somebody tweeted to Alexa Bliss that they hoped she was better in bed than she was in the ring because she'd probably just lay there?
Oh, jeez.
I knew
this shit is, and I seen this, you know, a day or two after it broke. This is the kind of ignorant shit that sets people off. And there's no reason for it. Oh, why? What's wrong with the way she wrestles? At least she wrestles. She isn't Nyla Rose or Nia Jax or whatever. So what? But something like that people should get banned right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else can I add to that?
Nothing. Nothing. Keyboard Warriors. We talked about them last week. All right. Well, that's WWE in a nutshell because we got nothing. Chad, did you bring anything old school to the table or anything? Because we're long. My God, we're long.
No. I just wanted to recommend, to you guys. I know we don't generally plug a lot of other podcasts, but go to Lillian Garcia's podcast. She had JTG on there featuring, talking about Shad Gaspar. Very good, very, very solemn, very hard to watch and listen to podcast, but it just kind of shows you the closeness really that those guys had and how good of a guy Shad was. Put me in tears a bit. Very hard to watch, but it was very good.
On that same note, I know what OVW is releasing this week, and it will be on our website. Shad spent some time in OVW as well, so they put a tribute together for Shad. So that's going to be like an hour-long show of I imagine it's going to be Gilbert Corsi and the guys talking about him and so on. So that'll get put up on Facebook as well. Al Snow attended Shad's funeral. He's got a lot of on his Facebook page. By the way, I want to talk about an Al Snow thing. He's got a lot of stuff on his Facebook, pictures with some of the wrestlers that were at the funeral as well. So go check out Al's Facebook page if you want to see those. But I want to end with this. And this is a funny story that I was on Instagram last week, I think Monday or Tuesday, and I get this instant message sent to me, and these guys don't know it. So it's Al Snow 649 or whatever is his name, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He's like, hey, did you see the programming recently? And I'm like, I know this is not Al. I know it's not Al because Al Snow's certified this, that, and the other thing. So I'm like, yeah, I just posted the one about Ray Lynn. He's like, did you like it? I'm like, I loved it. Then he goes into, thank heavens to God, I just got this big thing, I'm getting $250,000 brought in. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Chad didn't tell me about it, meaning Chad Miller, not Chad Piranha. He's like, yeah, would you like to be involved? And I'm like, well, sure, of course. Can Crushers will do anything you want, Al. What's up? And I already know that this is not Al Snow. So he now tells me, all you have to do is buy in for, I don't know what it was, and talk to Frank Williams. Well, I'm like, right. And I'm like, Frank Williams was a great worker. And this guy's like, yeah, he saved me $250,000. Oh. And by then, I've sent most of this over to Chad and Al just to show that I'm playing with them. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is going on Facebook. So some of the messages are up on Facebook that you see me talking with this jackass trying to be Al Snow. He has since been blocked and taken down and everything, but just wanted to make a mockery of whoever this guy is trying to be Al Snow to get people to buy in $250,000 life insurance for people in wherever. I don't know, but wrong person. That I'm like, yeah, Al, if you want to send me that link, text it over to me. Because Al has my number. He never texted over to me. So Al must be mad at me, apparently.
Hey, there is one thing. I'm sorry. I just remembered off of SmackDown. And I'm just going to start it with, fuck you, Vince. I didn't yell, Mark. You can put your headphones back on. Fuck you, Vince. It was not cool in any way, shape, or form to start Jeff Hardy off 2 weeks in with the drinking issues and stuff like that. I don't care. It was stupid. It was ignorant. And the only reason you're getting away with it is because you're pumping money to the guy and you're taking advantage of him. And I think it was bullshit. And that's another reason why I hate most of WWE.
Yeah, we saw it with Paul and we saw it with Road Warrior Hawk. We get it. We know there's real life and people have problems outside of work. Aside from tasteless, it's just repackaged. You know, you've got one of, and we use these terms all, one of the greatest of all time, one of the best ever, but a true once-in-a-lifetime talent whose best days are behind them. Why are you doing this now? You know, it's just...
Right. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Guys, again, as I said, next week is Ask Can Crushers Part 2. We have 15 to 20 questions already. Send some in at cancrusher69@gmail.com. Direct message them on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. It's all at cancrusher69. We'll do and I'm going to hold this, guys, because it went long last week. We will do a 10-minute recap of wrestling in general next week, and then do the questions. All questions like we did last time. I think we had a blast last time. It was a great show. It was fun.
The listeners blew me away. Holy cow, the questions that just put us on the spot and really made us dig deep into our knowledge, dig deep into our wrestling souls, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, they were some hard-ass questions. Well done, guys. And I can't wait. There are good ones, Mark?
There's some good ones.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. So,
hey, big news tomorrow, Mark. Don't forget, WrestleCade, yay or nay, being announced tomorrow.
That is being announced tomorrow. That November. Let's see if I'm upset tomorrow or if I'm still ready to go. Side note, though, if WrestleCade says no, there may be another event in New York, and it's big, in November that we could attend.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that later. There's throwing some names out there, but it might be a big event that we can attend.
All right. What a blast that was last time.
Yeah, we drank with so many people. All right, guys, you two fucked it up last week, so just because you're both trash, remember.
You just messed it up.
I did.
Because you're,
Go ahead.
Because you're trash. It doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.